For the next few minutes, I'm going to be talking everything real estate, investment, education. My goal is to help you become a smart investor. That can be done with the right knowledge, the right exposure, and shared experience. Now, real estate, what makes real estate safe is not sentiment, it's the title, it's the legalities, the documents, the titles, ownership. That's what make real estate safe. The reason why you are able to invest in stocks, invest in bonds, because that form of asset class, it's a P2P ownership form. What do I mean by P2P? You invest, the ownership is not necessarily transferred like that. So if you invest in stock, you are investing, you're doing out of the of stock. But when you invest in real estate is usually not produced again. Land is not produced again. So real estate cannot be created, it's only transferred. The reason why there's so much noise about real estate is because real estate is a transferable asset, it's not a produced asset. For stocks, for bonds, you can create a stock, you can create a bond from afresh. But real estate is not created afresh. Real estate is not created afresh. It's only transferred. So the reason why it's complex is because it involves transfer of ownership basically, usually from families to individuals, from government to families, from families to real estate developers, from real estate developers to you, from you to your friend, from Mr. A to Mr. B. That's what real estate is about, transfer of ownership. Now, all these real estate investments, titles are the anchor. If you know your titles, you know your documentations, and we're going to start with documentations. Land documentation. If I buy a piece of land in Ido, in Ibadan, in Lagos, in Epe, in Maiduguri, if I buy a piece of land, what are the documents I'm expected to receive? When you buy a piece of land, usually outright payment or partial payments, that's instrumental payments. The first thing you get is a contract of sale. Now, what is a contract of sale? A contract of sale is a document that says you and this company have a land transaction. Now, a contract of sale is very, very important, especially if you are paying instrumentally. Either way, you have a contract of, even if you are paying full, you have a contract of sale. The next document will be your receipts. Your receipt for your payment. If it's an instrumental payment, you get a receipt. If full payment, you get a receipt. So let's start with those two: contract of sale and a receipt. Now, depending on if you pay instrumentally or you pay in full, that is why the next form of documents come in. If you have not paid fully, you only get contract of sale and receipt. When you paid your money fully, you are eligible for what is called allocation. You are eligible for allocation. Now, when it comes to allocation, we talk about survey plan. What is a survey plan? A survey plan is a document that shows the property, the land you are buying on paper. It shows the coordinates, where it's located. It shows the size of your land. It shows the boundaries. It shows the previous owner, and it also shows that you are now the new owner. So survey plan your is is your proof of land in paper. Now, deed of assignment is the official transfer of ownership. That's another document you get along with the survey plan. Official transfer of ownership from party A to party B, usually the real estate developer to you, or a family real estate developer, a family to you, or most especially from a real estate developer to you, because most families, most people don't give you full documents like this, but a credible real estate company will give you these documents. Let's go over the documents you will receive. One, contract of sale to prove that you opened a transaction. Two, official receipt from the company acknowledging that you paid the money into the account. Now, when you pay fully, you be eligible for allocation, which we talk about the survey plan. That is the company giving you the paper, the document that shows that they've given you the land. Now, the right to the land as you transferred to you by the deed of assignment. And now the next is your letter of allocation. Your allocation. This also shows that the company has allocated to you. And now, depending on the phase and the type of land you buy, if you can build yet, or you have to wait for another approval to build. Usually, most land banking locations are locations that you cannot build yet because they are in the bush, they are in developing areas. Government still needs to give them clearance to start building on that land. It doesn't mean they will not give you, it's just that there are certain factors, maybe your safety and community things that you can, amenities allow you to live in that place. Now, that is, you have gone from basically, that's land documents. Now, let's talk titles. Titles. What are titles? Titles are not documents. Titles are like the benefit, the rights, the magnitude of the land, of your right over the land. Now let's look at a seeable. A seeable is a title, the rights. Behind every seeable is what they call the right of occupancy. It's the right of occupancy that is documented in a seeable. You can't have a seeable without the right of occupancy. Now, if you don't have a right of occupancy, you can't have a seeable. Now, your seeable is your show of ownership. Title usually shows ownership. Title usually shows ownership. Now, governor's consent. Governor's consent is another powerful way to prove ownership. Governor's consent. It means that the governor of the state, who is the sole proprietor of that land, is aware that you are you are about to receive this land, and wherever you have the governor's consent, it means the governor has cleared you to proceed with that transaction. Now, there's another form of ownership that is usually not talked about, and that's ownership gotten from land disputes. That's if there's ever been a dispute on a land, there's ownership that is gotten from the courts. That's court judgments. In some cases, is even higher than the COO. It means that the court has destroyed any other claim to the land to that land and is has given it to whoever has that land. For a COO, it can be fake. For a COO, the wrong person can have the COO. It might not be the right person, and I'll explain that. But the court judgment is one of the highest forms of land ownership. Now, there's a place called the Land Bureau, uh, the office of the State Surveyor General. That place is where all the database of all the lands are kept. Is that place they get the survey plan from. So you can have a survey plan that is not for a piece of land. If you want to further verify your claim or verify documents, because you can verify documents, you go to the Ministry of Land, the Office of the Surveyor General to do that. Now, because this is a crash course, I'm going to be talking about also different different parties involved in a real estate transaction. Talking about land, different parties involved in a real estate transaction. Talking about land. Number one, the government, the governor. There is a law which is called the Land Use Act of 1978. Before then, the families had custodies of the land. The families usually had the custodies of the land. But when that law was passed, the Land Use Act of 1978, it gave the the custodian or the custody of land, the management of land, the overseeing of land in a state, Lagos, Ogun, and other states in Nigeria. It gives that right to the governor, not to the family. Meaning there is a centralized land overseeing, land monitoring, and authorization done by the government, who is headed by the governor. Now, that's why title such as the governor's consent is very, very valid when verified that it belongs to that property. Now, the government, they are the highest form of authority when it comes to land. We've had cases of governments taking people's land for construction, for government use, for this. The reason why they have that right is because there's a law that backs the Land Use Act of 1978. The governor is very powerful in real estate transactions. The governor. Now, what is the role of the governor? To oversee, to reallocate. So, those families, which are also other parties involved in real estate, were reallocated their land, some of their land back. Some of them, the government took them for committed, what we call committed acquisition. What is committed acquisition? Governments have kept some lands that they intend to use for the future for government projects. Just initially, when they have projects in the future, they know that they have a land to use. Now that's committed acquisition. So there are some land under committed acquisition, and so there are some lands that they've left under non-committed acquisition. It means that is free. That belongs to land that belongs to families, land that are given to individuals. That's the land that government does not have interest. Now we have gazettes. What is a gazette? For instance, whenever a government sees that they don't need a land again, a land they committed before, they don't need it again. Whenever the government sees that they don't need the land that they've committed to use before, they usually give it out to families, to individuals, and now they publish it that in public record called a gazette. Now the process of giving out land, that means the government gave out land that was once committed that they wanted to use for something. They said, oh, we are no more longer using it for this. We want to give it out to the public, or that give it out means sell it to other people who can acquire it, family, or maybe as a gift. It's called excision. It means to cut out of something that has already been reserved by the government. That's excision. Why Gazette is a public record that shows the excision. Excision is a process. Gazette is like a title for that excision. A gazette is a document that backs that excision, that process called excision. Now back to the role of government. Government monitors, government handles land transactions in that state. It means if there's a dispute, the government, through the judiciary system of that state, can handle the land dispute. It also means the government has a centralized data of all the lands in the state and who owns the land. That's why the highest place to verify a property, landed property, is at the survey general of the state's office. That's in the Ministry of Land. That's where they have the record. They are the powerhouse when it comes to land. They have the record of people that have sold the land, including families. Now, let's move to families. Families, what is their role in real estate? Families were originally the sole proprietors of lands. Different families held land before the Land Use Act of 1978. They held those lands. But when the, the law was passed, the government became the overseer. Now, some, not all of the lands were given back to the families. So they still have the land. Now, the families can sell their land. Families, communities can sell their land to individuals, to companies. But the big problem and the reason why there have been so many noise in real estate and scam real estate is because these families, because unlike the government, they don't keep data, and then they feel like there's no one that can question them. They are not centralized. A family can just behave because they are not the authority, they are not a governing body, they can just behave the way they like. So they usually, sometimes not all, some of them out of ignorance, some of them out of sheer wickedness, sell the same piece of land to multiple people. And it's not, it's because when it comes to family ownership, there are different people contesting or vying for the ownership of that land. There is usually the head of the family, there is the sons of the descendants, so there are a lot of parties that are dragging for the land. So as much as possible, we are not a developer, we are not an organization, stay clear from family land purchase from family unless you are able to understand real estate legalities and involve necessary professionals and involve necessary professionals. Now, the families, what do the families do? The families are one of the reasons why real estate in Nigeria have bad PR, because their transactions are not usually documented, and because people that buy from families don't go and check the land, don't go and perfect their title in the land Ministry of Land. So this is where I will stop today, and the next time I will continue this journey of real estate education. See you the next time. Jesus is good.